Hi guys, back with another Jess story time with Jess, yeah. And this is about this little munchkin over here who has joined me again. And this is about the story of her and her bladder stones. So if you guys didn't know, she had bladder stones. She no longer has them. She is almost 2 years bladder stone free. And I'm quite excited about it. Can you please? There are people working on the staircase, so she isn't too happy about that. Anyways, so back in about 2015, I want to say, yeah, we woke up and she was whining a lot in the middle of the night. So, I was a little on edge and I needed to go to school. So I just kind of threw her out of my room because I didn't know why she was whining. She didn't want up in the bed or whatever. She just under my bed, unhappy. So closed my door. And then I wake up the next morning and open my door and there is just blood and pee everywhere. Bloody pee. I'm hysterical, and my dad comes out, because I'm hysterical, so he wakes up to, see what's going on. He turns on the lights and it's everywhere. It's not like it was just one pee or one big pee. It was just a massive pee throughout our hallway, and it was just pretty terrifying, I can tell you that, to wake up to that. So she was taken to the vet later that day while I went to school, and I just didn't function because Beemo's my best friend. If you guys didn't know, I love her to death, and we were told nothing could be done. She has stones, they'll pass. It's nothing can be done at this current time to help her. So we switched food. Nothing special about that food, just we switched food just to see if that was the recommended thing to do for her. We then, fast forward a few years, I went to England in 2017 or 2018. It's 2017. Yes, winter of 2017. I'm sorry. Having trouble remembering dates here. And we went to England, my dad and I, so we had somebody watching our dog. And then after that, roughly around January, February, we noticed that she started having the same symptoms again. And it was just, it'll pass, no worries, don't worry about it. Now, if you don't know, the symptoms of having bladder stones is that her pee or the urine of an animal, any animal can get these, which actually a lot of people didn't know that, and a lot of animals can get this, is they smell like sulfur. Sulfur smells like rotten eggs. And everybody, I feel like, has had rotten egg farts or burps or whatever, and that is the same exact smell that her urine had. Again, so we didn't worry about it because we were told not to. Now, my dad moved to the UK, which we thought Beemo was depressed. And I was like, makes sense. My dad just left, he hasn't been back. And sure, he went on trips and whatever, but, nothing like this. She couldn't hold her pee. We'd come home and she'd peed on the floor. We live on the 3rd floor or 2nd floor of an apartment, depending on how you count floors. And she would pee on the way down. And I didn't understand it. I was like, what is going on with her? She didn't want to go out on walks. Beemo loves walks, okay? She didn't want to drink as much water. She didn't want to eat. She's always excited for food time. Like, now, every time we give her food, she's so excited. She's so ready to go out on the porch and eat. And she loves her food. She's a foodie. Well, we take her to the vet. I was like, all right, we need to take her to the vet. It was the 27th of August, if I'm not wrong. And we take her to the vet, and they feel her, and they tell us, okay, we'll do an x-ray. So they do an x-ray. They find she has her entire bladder filled with stones. They moved from her kidneys to her bladder, and that basically if she did not get surgery now, she will die because she can't urinate. She couldn't pass anything. The stones took up so much space she couldn't pee. She couldn't drink water, and it couldn't filtrate, and it couldn't. Basically, my dog was screwed over by having bladder stones. Now, I was scared because surgery is expensive. Surgery is so expensive. I don't know if anybody who doesn't have pets there, it's expensive. So I was like, all right, how much does it cost? How much do we need to pay up front? You know, can we pay it monthly? What's going on? Because we could afford it monthly. It was a 10,000 kroner bill. That was excluding a few other things. And then I started to panic because they looked at me and goes, we need 5,000 up front. And I just went, I don't have 5,000 to give you. This is the end of the month. I do not have 5,000 to give you. And so I went outside. I was calling my dad. I was trying to figure out some way we could figure this out because I couldn't. The idea of losing my dog was starting to get to me because it was either that or put her down, basically, because I would not let my dog die in pain. And if she, you know, she needed, I will do anything for her. And so we're on my phone because we got, Summer, she got her grandmother to drive us to the vet, and I'm hysterical. And I'm on the phone with my dad, basically just crying, going, Beemo's gonna die, we need money. How do we do this? What do I do? Do I go to the bank to ask for, what do I do? Because I didn't want to lose my dog. It was very scary. And my Summer's nan went to call her husband to, I don't know, I thought they were just going to update it as, update what's going on because he needed the car to go to work. And I was talking to my dad on the phone, just like, hey, Dad, please help. What do I do? And she comes back while I'm on the phone in tears because, losing my best friend and I don't want to lose her. And she looks at me and she goes, I'll pay it. I'll pay the 5,000 down payment for your dog. And I just lost it. I sat down and I started screaming at the top of my lungs because it felt unreal. It was that whole surrealness. This isn't real. My friend's nan is not going to be paying for my dog. What? This isn't real. And I just lost it. And my dad's on the other end of the phone still. And he's, what's going on? Because, I started to get really worse and I started screaming. And I had to explain, Summer's nan will pay for it. She's going to pay for it. Beemo's going to be okay. And I was just hysterical. Because not only was it a big process to do that, because we didn't just take her in, they took an x-ray and it was all over. There was a waiting process. I had to go home and wait for all of these. And I was just hysterical. I wasn't okay. It really scared me. But the fact that her nan paid for my dog is something that it sticks with me. And you know what? Beemo, she's doing really well. She gets her ear infections and whatever. But she got surgery. And we actually got to keep the stones. And 3 of these large stones were in her bladder, along with many very tiny ones, if you can see that. And that is not a normal size for a bladder to be the size of basically my fist. Beemo's now on special medication, which he always was. I mean, special medicated food, known as urinary SO. And had I known that there was something that could have been done, I didn't. I was, young. I didn't know. I had no idea something could be done for my dog about these stones. I would have sought help a lot earlier. She got surgery. She did so well. she came home the next day. I was so excited. It was so exciting to see her and to follow up on what happens afterwards, because maybe you will ever encounter this, maybe you won't, but this is good general knowledge. When your dog is done with the surgery, because they have had it in their bladder, they have no bladder control. We sanitize the entire apartment because the dog kind of just goes wherever she wants. She goes under my couch, she goes under the bed, she goes under everything. She's on everything. My dog is a very luxury dog. She is allowed in the bed, she's allowed in the couch, she's allowed basically wherever, as long as it's not on tables and stuff like that. We went out and bought her a bed because my dog's never really been a bed type. She prefers to lay on the couch and prefers to lay here. We went out and we were like, she's going to be limited in movement. We don't know if she can jump up, what's going to be. So we got her a bed. And we vacuumed, sanitized the house. Everything was just tip-top, baby-proofed clean. And we got her back. She was wearing this really cute blue onesie, which she just looked adorable. And she was just doing so well. She was so happy. But as soon as we got her out, we were going to pay for everything the next day. She comes out, she waddles out, and we're getting all the medications because she was on pain meds, she was on antibiotics, she was on everything because basically there was also an infection, all sorts of other stuff. And so she got all these meds. We were being informed how to take care of her, what to do. She needed out more than 3 times a day. We take her out 3 times a day now. Works very well. But that she needed out 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a day because she doesn't have bladder control. So if her bladder was, half full, she might pee on the floor, which I wasn't too concerned about because I don't mind taking my dog out for an extra walk or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever she needs. And if she pees on the floor, guess what? I'll clean it up. It's my dog. I'll take care of her. And I decided that, we'll do that. No problem. No issue. And we got her meds. We were basically told she could not have anything. My dog could not have any sort of treat or, what would you call it? Dentistics. Nothing. Her favorite food in the world was carrots. She couldn't even have that. She was on constant urine check. She's on urine check. She gets another urine check in August. And that is also for a peace of mind for me because I really don't want her to get it again. And I don't want to have to pay for a surgery again. But she can't have anything. She can have a few things within limits. It's just basically her body can't digest it in the same way and it'll create stones. The pH of her urine has to be very high so it can everything has to be able to be filtered, and her food is very expensive. I am so grateful for a website that has the food a lot cheaper, and I'm happy that a brand of food even carries something for her. And she gets wet food. She got wet food, and her birthday's coming up, so we're making sure she gets special treats. But it's very hard when, here in Denmark, we give dogs treats that we see. It's quite normal to go up to a dog and go, oh, can we give her some treats? Because people who have dogs carry treats with them in their pockets. And it's hard for us to just go, sorry, she can't have them. And people are like, but why not? And it's because she will die. And it's hard to, not be so blunt about it and just be like, well, because a lot of people are uneducated or just don't know that dogs can get urine stones or bladder stones or whatever they're called, kidney stones, move to their bladder. It doesn't matter. So you're being very noisy over here, Beemo. Yeah. But she's doing well. She's doing so well. But we took her out of the vet and she peed on the floor. And she basically just peed nothing but blood. And it was very scary because I didn't expect that. So she pees on the vet's floor and I looked like I might cry again. And I don't think they've seen, they watched me have a breakdown basically outside the day before and then come in and go, we'll pay it, do it, surgery. And they were like, do you want to do it today, or we can do it tomorrow morning instead, if that works for you best. And I'm like, you do it now. And, but she peed blood and it scared me very bad. And that's quite normal. Quite normal because they have no bladder control. And then we take her home. She pees blood right outside the apartment door. We ended up putting a note outside going, hey, my dog just had surgery. If she ends up peeing on the outside the door, we can't prevent that right now. She has no bladder control. She had urine stones, especially because it was blood. So I didn't want to scare anybody because we have older people living in the apartments. I didn't want to scare anybody. She did pee up on the staircase a few times, and I cleaned it up because what else do you do? Of course I'm gonna clean it up. And that night that she came home, she was laying on the couch and I was playing video games with my boyfriend of the time. We are no longer together, and she pees herself. And we didn't notice, honestly, didn't notice. And we have a leather couch, and we had we had bundled the couch up with all sorts of stuff, so just in case you got up there or whatever. And Summer just looks at me. She goes, Jess, she peed on the couch. And I'm like, what? I'm in the middle of a game, I can't pause, and I'm like, I gotta go. And I just dropped everything, ran over, and was like, okay, what do I do? And because I didn't know what to do. She has this really big bodysuit on to protect the wound, protect the cloth that's on the stitches and everything like that. I'm like, what do I do? She has it all over her. It's all over her. So I'm sat trying, and we couldn't get the wound wet. We could, panic had set in because I didn't know what to do. I'm not a vet. And, we took care of it, cleaned everything up. We called Summer's nan. We're like, you're getting a thing full of blood. What do we do? And she was just like, oh, do this and this. She's a bit more educated on that stuff, as older people are. And yeah, she got her first checkup, and they were like, okay, she still has some stone particles. Don't feed her anything other than her food. Okay, fine. Her second she got another urine test every 6 months, I think it was. And she was clear. She was completely clear. And I was just like, thank God. It was a big relief to hear that my dog was going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And yes, it's hard because, you want to give her treats. You want to you want to do all these things that other parents do with their pets, where they go and get little puppuccinos, which I don't think exist here, but as an example, or feed them these really cool looking dog mint cakes that are made for dogs. And it's like, my dog can't have that kind of stuff and some people have called us out and said, oh, well, that's not right of you to prevent her from eating things. It's it's for her own health and safety. But I really do hope this video helps somebody who could be suffering from a similar event, or maybe or just to help educate the crowd that this is a thing that dogs can get, and a lot of people don't know that. And if you smell sulfur in any pet's urine, please take them to the vet, because stones is probably something that is scary. Her food, it's expensive, but I wouldn't change it for anything. And I'm glad that our cat does not have it. We keep very good track, but most stones are actually commonly produced by feeding, or at least what we were told. Some dogs are very much gonna get them. Then just, they're more prone to getting it. And then there's other dogs where they might not be as prone, but because they're not fed a decent brand or a decent amount of food, such as a food with a high, I think it was zinc or magnesium, very high quantities of specific things, they have a really high chance of getting it because they're getting more than they should. Which is also why now when people start feeding their dogs or cats, I try and educate where I can. It's just maybe spend the extra $5, $10 or whatever, 20, 30 kroner it costs just to get a decent food that is actually meant for your pet. Rather than getting the cheapest of cheap food but try and get them something that will nourish them and maybe not cause this, because it is quite common in dogs and cats who are fed very cheap brand foods that don't have the minerals and the, all the right proportions of everything and the nutrients that they need to be able to digest the food properly and dissolve anything that is not necessary. But I will tell you, she's living a great life regardless, and she gets spoiled rotten otherwise, and she lives a great life, and it's good to see that there are people in the world who are still willing to help other people. Like, I don't know what I would have done had her nan not been willing to pay for Beemo. Well, I know what would have happened, and I'm very grateful and forever grateful that she did what she did. She helps us out a lot if it comes to Beemo's medical bills, because she is expensive, and you know what? It is what it is. She just recently got vaccinated, and we didn't know she was late on some vaccinations, but she got vaccinated against some pretty bad diseases that I didn't know she was missing. She's asking me to rub her belly over here. And she's doing really well. Her scar healed up nicely. Her stitches are all dissolved and good to go. And only issue is she now gets ear infections. But that's okay. We can deal with the small medical bills here and there. But 10,000, it ended up being 11,000 and something kroner. And we paid monthly after that 5,000 down payment, and it was relieving to know that she was okay. And to get her a urine test it's 100 and something kroner. It's so cheap. And she's just, she's the luckiest dog in the world. For me, anyways. She lives a great life, and you know what? That's important. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this story educational time, and it might not have been the perfect linear story that everybody likes, but I hope you learned something about urine stones, and I really hope that it's something that will help other people, because it's something I didn't know about. And if you have a dog or a cat, make sure you check them. Make sure. But yeah, I will see you guys next week with another story time. Bye guys. Have a great weekend.